So what is the platform gap? Imagine you have a team, let's call them Team A, and they're responsible for a product. Let's say it's a mobile banking application. And because you're following the DevOps principles of you build it, you run it, this team's managing their own Kubernetes clusters. And maybe they've also got a database sitting in the stack. Maybe they've also got machine learning in there. And finally, they're using Knative and Kpack as well. And if you're a slightly bigger organization, maybe you've got Team B. Team B might be responsible for a mortgage calculator. They've got a similar looking stack, but in this case, they've got CRM. And then maybe you've also got Team C. Their stack looks pretty similar to Team A, but slightly different. Maybe they're running some different software versions. And then you've got Team D. Maybe Team D is running the legacy payment system. They're running on bare metal, on-prem, and their stack looks entirely different to the others, but this is a really core part of your business. And maybe you've got hundreds of similar teams, all doing slightly similar but separate things. Maybe your company is made up of acquisitions, so you've got lots of overlapping teams. This is what it looks like when you have a platform gap. Each team is juggling all of the components to get from the infrastructure to the actual business value delivering to their end customers. So what are the implications of this gap? There's lots of problems with this model. The first thing to look at is the cognitive load. So that's a psychological term. It's defined as the amount of information that working memory can hold at one time. If you look at Team A, you can see that they're managing a lot of things. And the more things that they're managing, the more information they have to remember about each part of the stack, and the less they're actually focused on the application itself. My old colleague James Waters used to say that application teams should be focused on delivering above the value line. This can be defined as separating what's core to your business versus what you can and should outsource. In this case, I mean it to say that the team should be focused on their core specialism instead of trying to wire together all of the infrastructure elements. And if you look across the organization, all of the teams are facing the same cognitive load challenges, which is slowing down the business. But again, if you look at this image, you can see that there's lots of duplication and wasted effort. If we take Team D off of the slide, you can see there are common items in each team's stack where they could be pooling resources to save time and money. By sharing these services, the organization could benefit from economies of scope, defined as the average total cost of a company's production decreases when there is an increasing variety of goods produced. So in this case, we mean it to say that if these common parts of the stack could be shared and grouped together, then the cost to add new teams, new products, new features would overall be reduced, reducing the average cost across the business applications. And what are the other problems with this platform gap? Well, you can see the way that this organization is set up right now. There are some pretty thick brick walls between them. There's some quite strong silos. So the teams may not be working well together, not sharing best practices, not sharing knowledge. How do they engage together? How could they work together better? And there could be hidden elements going on within your organization, the way that these teams are working separately. Some teams may be struggling to do the things that they need, and they're using some shadow IT things that the overall business isn't aware of. This could have, compliance issues, security issues. It could be reversed, though. Maybe one team is using some amazing tool that if only the other teams could learn how to use it, they would also benefit from it. So, what does all of this mean? To summarize, at Syntasso, we define the platform gap as the chasm each team must cross between the infrastructure and delivering their meaningful product value. And with this gap, you've got high cognitive load, duplication and waste, teams in silos not collaborating, potentially shadow IT, and overall just a nightmare to audit. And aside from my own team's experience of seeing these challenges at customers, is there any other data to support this? Short answer is yes. We found this great report from Dynatrace recently. It was a survey of 700 CIOs, and they found that half the teams were saying that they're stretched more thinly than ever. So you can imagine the cognitive load on those teams. Half are saying that the teams are working in silos. 40% say that the limited collaboration is slowing down the business's ability to respond to change. And 3/4 are fed up with having to piece together data from multiple tools. So you can imagine what a sprawl of technology they're trying to deal with. So with all of these platform gap issues, how can we go about attempting to cross this gap? Well, as with all good questions, there's no easy answers. I want to focus on two parts of change that we've seen working. One is organizational change, and then one is change within platform teams themselves. How many folks here have read Team Topologies? Oh, not many. Okay. I would strongly recommend reading this book. It was published in 2019 by Matthew Skelton and Manuel Pace. It covers 4 team types, or topologies, and 3 interaction modes. And it was also featured really heavily in this year's State of DevOps report, the Puppet one. One of the best benefits from this book is that it provides a common language for people in your organization to think about organizational models and how flow changes across business. So I'm not going to go into all of it because it's a good book and I'd recommend you read it, but I'm going to focus on just a couple of parts. So 2 of the interaction models that I'm most interested in are collaboration, defined within the book as teams working together for a defined period to discover new things, and X as a service, defined as one team provides and one team consumes something as a service, for example, API. And the 2 team types I'm most focused on are the stream-aligned teams, defined as a team aligned to the main flow of business change with cross-functional skills mix. This is often synonymous with an application team, like the teams that I was talking about earlier, ABC. And then platform team is defined as a team that works on the underlying platform, providing a compelling internal product to accelerate delivery by the stream-aligned teams. So, why am I focused on these parts? So the pattern I've been working on with customers for, let's say, the last 10 years is encouraging a period of collaboration as a starting point between basically platform teams and application teams. This could look like user research, could look like interviews, but it's a way of providing a shared responsibility between the teams so that the teams understand each other and share knowledge and understand and have some empathy for each other's needs. It's also important that you do this up front to define service boundaries between application team and platform team. And it's useful to keep it going. Because the one thing we know is that technology constantly changes. If you're building a platform for someone to use, technology is going to change, requirements are going to change. It needs to be ongoing collaboration. For the X as a service model, it's really important to have this kind of delineated responsibilities. It's a way of being able to say who does what, and then the consuming team can get those services as quickly as they want when they want them on demand, as long as the providing team, the platform team, makes it easy for them to consume. So, I keep talking about the word platform. The question is, does it mean what we all think it means? In 2018, Evan Bottcher came up with this fantastic definition of what is a platform. Now, you can see it's technology agnostic. I'm not talking about Kubernetes or any specific technology. It's a very general but good description of what a platform is supposed to be. It's really a kind of a compelling set of tools arranged together as an internal product, which leads me to the second part of how we think about solving this platform gap. At Syntasa, we talk about platform as a product. It's becoming kind of a term that I think people talk about a bit more, but really there's a whole set of practices that we think platform teams can apply, and we call it under this banner. At its very simplest, it means taking everything that you know about from product management, of managing your normal products that you deliver to customers, and applying those same practices to your internal product, to your internal platform. Let's have a look at some examples of what this means. So, here's my platform team, down at the bottom. The first thing to add into the mix is a product manager. So this is someone who can outline a clear product vision and a roadmap, who can prioritize the backlog in response to user needs, and can manage external stakeholders. And then with this enhanced product team, the next step is to understand who are your internal customers, who are the people using the platform. If we go back to the original organizational model, it would look something like this. So the developers in teams A, B, and C, or the teams of A, B, and C, are the customers for the platform team. And if you think about the team topologies model, what we're saying is the first thing is to understand what are the needs of your customers. So you should collaborate with them and go talk to them. It could be user interviews, could be a journey mapping exercise. It's any way of figuring out what do those teams actually need, and how can the platform team support them. And with these needs defined, the platform team needs to start building a platform. So the practices that the platform team should follow are really the same as your other kind of developing teams. They should be building in small batches. They should be seeking user feedback early and often to check that the needs are actually being met and to minimize risk of building for 6 months and not seeking feedback. And once they have something, once they have a service that's ready to be used by an internal customer, the next step is to move to X as a service mode. This means you need to provide a way for those teams to access that service on demand without needing intervention by the platform team. So that could be an API provided to the dev team. It could be a developer portal. It's some way so that that team can access the services that you've built. And as mentioned earlier, it's not once and done. We're not talking about having a project that stands up the platform and then the platform is done forever. It's important to keep maintaining collaboration between the teams to understand that the platform is still fit for purpose. So, as well as providing the services and delivering them through some kind of API, there are other things that platform teams can do to provide a good experience for their application teams. One thing they could do could be to brand the platform and make it quite snazzy. Give it a cool name, make some stickers, market it internally, evangelize the product so that the developers really want to get using it. They get excited and curious about what is this new platform, and they want to use it. It could mean that within your platform, what you are able to do as a platform team is incorporate guardrails for security or for compliance. It makes it easier for your app teams to use your platform because they know that it's going to be compliant and meet all the internal requirements. It's easier to then use your platform than some other platform or go to shadow IT. And if it's the path of least resistance, they're more likely to use it. It could mean that your platform can provide a specific internal bespoke tool that teams can't get somewhere else. They can't get that from AWS. They can't get it from another cloud. If there's something that your platform offers that they can't get anywhere else, it gives your platform a competitive advantage. Again, developers will want to use it because it's the only place they can get that specific internal tool. Maybe what you should be doing is also focusing on developer experience. That's the sunshine and rainbows. Making it delightful for the developers to use it. If they are excited because it's easy and they like the interface and they like being able to access it, again, it's the path of least resistance, they will enjoy using it and feel very happy about it. So, what does good look like? How do we know that some of these things are true? I mentioned earlier the State of DevOps report. It's got some really interesting quotes that I just pulled out a few of. So one says, highly evolved teams use a combination of stream-aligned teams and platform teams as the most effective way to manage cognitive load. These highly evolved firms strive to create a compelling value proposition for app teams, so it's easier and more cost-effective than going elsewhere. An internal platform, in nearly all cases, isn't something you can buy outright. You have to end up tailoring it to the needs of your organization. And finally, not every platform team is automatically successful, but the successful ones treat their platform as a product. And aside from this excellent research, are there any other bits of information available? Well, a talk I gave in 2019, I spoke at Spring One Platform, and this was some stats from some customers that I'd worked with in the past of how these customers had the internal platform, they applied some of these practices, and they saw some great results. So, to summarize, how can we tackle the platform gap? We need to organize teams for fast flow. We need to start with collaboration and then move towards X as a service. We need to take everything that we've learned from product management and apply it to our internal platform. And we need to continuously adapt and improve the platform. It's not once and done. It's continuous ongoing maintenance to make sure it's still meeting the needs. And as for what's next, as I mentioned, I've recently started a company, and we are helping customers to apply some of these practices, and we've also built a open source framework called Kratix, which is designed to help make it easier for platform teams who are running platforms on Kubernetes. It's very new, it's very rough around the edges, but if anyone would like to have a look at it, kick the tires, give us some feedback, we are in this phase of, please, people, just give us some information. And if you want to reach out to us, I've put the GitHub and our website and our email. And with that, thank you very much.